All right, Josh, thanks for joining me again for the Flipping Junkie podcast. This is the second in the series that you're giving us a deep dive into what pay-per-click and specifically Google Ads is, how it works, how it benefits house flippers, real estate investors out there trying to generate better leads and deals. And do you want to explain what we're going to cover in this episode?
Yeah, so kind of what we're going over in this one is what pay-per-click and what Google Ads are and the essentials of what make them function so that you can have your ad and your business represented at the top of page number one. We're not going to dive into too much of the technical details of it, but we are going to cover that high-end overview of kind of your terms to know and how things function in there, what you need to keep in mind when looking at an overall campaign and how it works.
Cool. So what is PPC? What does that stand for? And what is the general idea behind that?
So PPC just stands for pay-per-click, which means that when you use a pay-per-click platform, you only get charged for each time that somebody clicks on one of your ads. So you can show an ad 1,000 times in a day, but if it only gets clicked 5 times, you're only charged for those 5 clicks. And the amount that you're charged is dictated by the bid that you put onto them, which we'll get into in just a minute. And a lot of people, they want to know what the difference between pay-per-click and Google Ads are. And essentially, they're the same thing. So Google Ads is a pay-per-click platform. So Google Ads is Google's official way to have your ad shown at the top of page number one and only pay for those clicks.
Yeah, which is awesome. And that's why it took off the way it did, right? When it started as Google AdWords, I think. And, that was a revolutionary idea, wasn't it? Like the idea that they could, instead of selling impressions, number of times your ad is shown to somebody, or for the distribution, it was based on a different model, a smarter model.
Yeah, and something that is not just geared towards the winner being whoever throws the most money at it, because Google's idea as a whole, whether it's organic or paid results, is to get you the most relevant results possible, and that's reflected in how their ad and auction system work too.
Awesome. So the idea behind that is that they want to not just provide the ad for the person that gave them the most money, they still have to provide the best results so that the person doing the searching that goes to that result is going to find what they need, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if it was just a matter of money, then you can make an ad for real estate investing and then lead people to a website that's geared towards selling Tonka trucks and have that be the number one spot just because you paid for it. But with the way that Google Ads is structured, it's the most relevant, most useful result that shows up at the top. And the amount that you bid plays a part in that, but it's not the biggest part. So you can't pay to win. Yeah,
and that's a big deal, right? Because if you, what are the ways that, is that something you want to get into in this episode is how does that work? How does Google say this one is more relevant and a better result than this other person that does the same thing, that has also a site about, buying houses fast?
Yeah, that's actually specifically what I wanted to cover is the what are Google Ads and a little bit about how they work. So I just mentioned the auction system, and that is the biggest part of how Google provides those relevant results. So just to start, bidding and relevancy, those are the top 2 things that Google Ads is looking at when it's deciding what ads to show at the top of the page. And with any ad result, there are 4 spots at the top of page number 1 and then 2 at the bottom. But just like anything else, the name of the game when you get online is to get visibility. So if you're not showing up at the top of the page organically or with one of these paid ads, then you're not going to get a lot of impressions. You're not going to get a lot of traffic. So bidding and relevancy. You're competing for clicks based off of a number of different factors. So it starts with your bid, but Google has to attribute something to your account that's called ad rank. And it's a mix of a handful of different things. There's a number of smaller factors, but some of the bigger ones are what we're about to cover. And these are like key performance indicators that can be monitored and adjusted also. So they're
Nice.
pretty important to keep in mind. So number one is your bid. I mean, what you're doing inside of Google Ads is bidding on specific keywords. Those keywords are getting matched with what people are actually typing into the search box in Google, and that's showing an ad, your ad, as a result. So bidding is number one. Number two is your expected click-through rate. So your click-through rate is just the number of impressions compared to the number of actual clicks that you get, and that's always shown as a percentage.
Okay, so impressions is the number of times that your ad is shown when somebody searches a keyword that lines up with what you're bidding for?
Yep, that's exactly correct. So an impression is just when your ad is shown. A click is when somebody actually clicks on that ad and goes over to your website.
Okay, and so Google, like, does Google, so they look at that, and what's the reason for looking at the click-through rate and the impressions? Like, what do they care about that?
So your expected click-through rate is, it's like a theoretical number, and it's based off of past performance. So if you have a Google ad account that's been running for, let's say, 6 months, what Google Ads wants to say is, okay, if we serve your ads, we can expect that this many people are going to click on it. And it's comparing that with your competition across the board to see who has the best ad text and who's continuously staying on top of that and providing the best entry level into those websites by having the best ad. So when it looks at expected click-through rate, what it's actually looking at is how well your ad is expected to perform.
To likely get a click, right? Because that's how Google gets paid. That's how you get paid as a customer paying for ads, right? It's having people actually visit the website.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nice.
So the next part is called landing page experience. So this is important with all respects to websites, like every single page, but your landing page experience for Google Ads is dictated by how easily people can achieve what it is that they're there to do. So if you have a form that's on the website that's geared towards getting the name and email, like how easy is it for them to do that? If the only call to action on your page is a phone number, is it highly visible? Is it in a place where people can easily click on it? Is it mobile friendly? So Google Ads is looking at the page that your ad is directing traffic to and seeing how well it matches with your ad and your keyword, but it's also seeing how easily people can accomplish tasks on that page. So if you have a landing page that isn't user friendly, it takes people like 8 steps to get anything done, it loads slow, anything like that, you're going to end up with a lower ad rank than somebody who's taken the time to get a page optimized and have it ready to send traffic to where that goal can be easily met. The next part is ad relevancy, and we kind of just covered this part, but ad relevancy is how well your ad relates to the keyword that was matched with your customer search term. So customer types something into the search box, and Google Ads is looking at your ads and your keywords and seeing how well they mesh together. So for example, an ad that has "we buy houses" in the first headline would not match well with a keyword that says "buy my house for cash." They're a little bit too different. So what it wants to see is "buy my house for cash" in the first headline of your ad, and that links to a keyword that says "buy my house for cash." That creates a good ad relevancy so that when you have a user that types in "buy my house for cash" online, it knows exactly what ad to serve and what keyword to serve with it, and it'll send those two out. So that's your ad relevancy. And then
can I stop real quick? So the ad relevancy, so just to clarify that a little bit, so you're saying when you set up ads to be served by Google Ads, you actually select the keywords that you want that ad to be shown for?
Yeah, so you can, the way that an ad account should be structured is that similar keywords should be grouped together, and then ads written for those sets of keywords. So those are what are called ad groups.
Okay, cool.
And so you create an overall relevancy between keywords and ads by continuing to write ads that mesh with the keywords in that group. So you might run 3 or 4 different ads to see which one is going to get served the most and get the best results. But you shouldn't just stop there. You should continue to reiterate on those ads and get newer versions of the best performing ones out. So you're continuously split testing to find out what is going to work best.
Oh, nice. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. And then the last part is ad format. So Google Ads offers a lot of different ways to add value to your listing. So if you ever go online and do a search for almost anything and you see an ad that shows up at the top, it's normally like twice as big as any kind of organic result, because you're able to show different landing pages, and you can pick which ones too and add them as extensions to your ads. You can show a phone number that people can click to call and reach you immediately. And there's a few other items there that give you additional ways to show more information about your business, like hours of operation, things that set you apart from your competition. So all that stuff can be listed in each one of your ads that get served. And that helps to essentially buy up more real estate at the top of page number 1. So the bigger and better that ad is at the top of the page, the more likely they are to click on it, because you've provided them with the highest amount of information, but you're also pushing your competitors a little bit further down the page and getting them out of the way.
Yeah, I like that, because I think whenever I do a search and I see something like one of these ads with a bunch of stuff on it and it's really big, it draws my eye to it, because like, why does this ad have all this stuff and the other ones don't? And so Google lets you do that for free, is add those extensions on there?
Wow. Yep, that's every single Google Ads account, you can add those extensions. And it's cool too, because you can have more than one of each type of extension. So you can continuously split test and rotate things in and out to find out what's going to work best for you there. So bidding, expected click-through rate, landing page experience, ad relevancy, and ad format, all of those things create what's called your ad rank. And it's normally a number 1 through 6. And obviously the person who has the number 1 ad rank based on all those factors, they'll show up in the number 1 spot, and then so on all the way down to number 6, which is at the bottom of the page. But all of those things have to be kept in mind when you're building an account, when you're managing an account, in order for you to have an effective Google Ads account. If you let even one of those slip or you don't stay on top of it, I guarantee you there's a competitor out there that's doing those things that's going to end up with that higher ad rank and paying less for their ads, less for each click than what you're paying. Is one of those other things that your ad rank affects is how much you pay for each click that comes in. So Google Ads only wants you to pay the maximum amount that it takes to stay above your next closest competitor. So if you're bidding $30 on a keyword and you have a competitor that's bidding $20, but you have a higher ad rank than them, so you show up higher, the most that you're going to have to bid is like $21. So your ad rank directly affects how much you pay for each one of those clicks coming in. So if you effectively manage an account and stay on top of those factors, you won't even pay the maximum amount for your clicks, because you're continuously optimizing your account and using Google's guidelines to create the most relevant result possible.
Yeah, it's nice. So they reward the people that are, serving up ads that are very relevant with content on the website that's very usable, user-friendly, so that the experience of the person using Google is going to be great, right? Like, so you don't have to pay as much because you're providing a good experience for the person using Google.
Yep. And in our industry, specifically in real estate investing, it's harder to use a lot of Google's automated features like automated bidding or automated ad creation, because the platform does a lot of things good, but it doesn't understand what the intent of those searchers is. So you know, you can use a lot of their automated functions to try and create better ad rank. But when you jump in and start looking at what it's doing, it might take the sell a house fast keyword and say, okay, so I'm only going to show ads that say sell a house on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's like a retail based keyword. That could be anybody looking for information on selling a house. So Google's automated stuff, like, it's good, but there's a human element that is a huge benefit to each one of these accounts that gets created that really can't be overlooked yet. Because, like, as somebody with experience in the industry, I know that each one of those searches, there's a story behind it. And based off of what people type in, you can kind of start to make inferences on what it is that they're looking for exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Get enough of them, then you start writing ads and keywords based around that, and you start to target a completely different audience that's like a subset of your local market that you might not have seen using some sort of automated suggestions.
Yeah. So whenever there's people out there listening that might be thinking, okay, well, you know, you mentioned sell my house fast, you know, and that the reason why you're saying that is because it's showing some intent to want to sell a house quickly, which might represent avoiding realtors and just being done with it because there's an issue that they're trying to get away from, or a problem they have in their life or whatever. And that Google's automated stuff that when you go in there and try to set up an account and they say, hey, here's some suggestions, you can just use this stuff because we're smart, we're Google, and you should just listen to what we tell you works. And you said that they would likely throw out something like, you know, sell a house, and not including the fast, because that is a part of the selling a house fast. So you might see that and think, well, why shouldn't I use sell a house? Like, why shouldn't I use that keyword? Even if it's not going to be the exact customer, I'm going to get a lot more people, right, to show my ad to. So what is the problem with that? Why do you not want to have a broad keyword like that that's going to get those people with the wrong intent?
The problem is that exactly, it's intent and motivation. So, for example, we'll use sell a house. Sell a house will get your ads a ton of traffic. They might even lead to some conversions on your website or phone calls that are going to count as conversions because of the call length. But there's a section inside of Google Ads where you can go and see what people have typed in order to find your ads. And this is a big part of staying on top of managing these accounts. I'm sure that if you went in to the ad group that had sell a house in it and you started looking at those searches, what you're going to see are terms like buy a house in a specific zip code, sell a house with a realtor. You could even see things in there like Zillow instant offer. Like, that will link out to so many different resources and get you shown in so many different searches that are a waste of money, because you're paying every time somebody clicks on one of your ads with one of those bum searches attached to it, and they don't have the right motivation. So they might be looking to sell a house, but we don't want somebody who wants to sell a house. We want customers who need to sell a house fast, who are relocating and need assistance, who are trying to navigate the probate process. Like, we want people who have motivation, but they need to have that intent to sell to an investor, not just to sell a house. So that's one of the biggest things that you'll run into, is the intent and motivation won't be exactly what it is that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. And you have to pay for that.
Yeah. Okay. And so Google Ads serves up, so you have all these different ads attached to these different ad groups that target different keywords, right? Mm-hmm. And isn't it where you set a budget? I don't know if this is beyond where you wanted to go in this episode, but isn't it where when you choose a budget, it's like a daily budget? And so how does it manage that daily budget? Does Google just serve up your ads until that money is spent? Or does it spread it out through the day? How does that work?
Yep. So we're going to get into budget in not the next episode, but the one after that.
Okay.
Into more detail. But this does kind of play into a little bit more of how Google Ads works as a platform. So let's say you have $150 a day budget, which is totally not unreasonable in most markets, because with how specific our clientele are, so the people that we're looking to obtain lead information from, the keywords are extremely competitive, which means that a lot of people are bidding for them in this auction system. So things like cash offer for houses or companies that buy houses could go for $25 to $30 a click.
Yeah.
So this means that, you know, the amount of clicks that you're going to get in a day is limited. But if you set a $150 a day budget and your average cost per click is, let's say, $50, well, then there's 3 clicks that you're going to get in that market, and your ads won't run after that until the start of the next day, whatever your schedule is, whether it's midnight to midnight or 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. At your next scheduled start time, that's when your ads will start showing back up. And again, we're going to get back into that when we get to the when to start. We're going to go over budgeting then. But as far as how it works daily, once you accumulate enough cost in clicks to cover what your daily budget is, your ads won't run again until the next day. So budgeting effectively from the start is specifically what we're going to be going over in that episode.
Oh, nice. And I hope people are seeing and making that connection there to that, because if you think, well, I'm willing to spend the money on it and I'm going to go ahead and do something like sell a house, you know, the problem then becomes that gets served up a lot and clicks get made by unmotivated people that eat up your budget. And then if somebody does search something that's highly motivated, your ads aren't showing anymore because your budget was eaten up already for the day, right?
Yeah, and once your budget gets eaten up, I mean, you're done. So let's say you're bidding on a lot of keywords that are getting served up a ton, but you're running from midnight to midnight. You might run out of budget by 6 a.m., 7 a.m.
Oh, wow.
That means that your competition is continuing to serve up ads the entire rest of the day, and you're missing out on those impressions and those motivated sellers. So it's not just about having the budget. Again, though, it's about having the right strategy and the right keywords inside of your account. And honestly, it comes from experience. Like, you can look up a million different lists online. You can look up 1,500 keyword list. You can look up like the top 20 keywords and start with those. But experience is really what shows what works and what doesn't for your market specifically.
Yeah, because you have found where keywords work really great in some markets, and then other markets, they eat up the budget and they don't produce results, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we know what works across the board from East to West Coast in all markets. We know what has worked, but until we plug it into a specific market, start running ads and start localizing it to that specific market, we're not going to know if one keyword is going to outperform the other. But we have found that there's just different keywords in each market based off of what people are typing in, what kind of physical marketing is being done that's reflected in online searches. There's a lot of stuff to account for that happens offline that actually dictates how well some keywords do versus others in markets across the country.
Oh, nice. Nice. So does that wrap up pretty much this episode on the what are Google ads and pay-per-click advertising? Or do you have anything more to share for this one?
No, that just about covers it. So Google Ads is a pay-per-click platform. Pay-per-click just means that your ad can be shown as many times during the day as possible, but you don't pay unless somebody clicks on it. And then there are 5 or 6 different key factors, from bidding and expected click-through rate to landing page experience and ad relevancy and the ad format, that have to be managed and maintained in order for you to run a well-oiled, lean machine of a Google Ads campaign. And that letting any one of those slip will leave the door open for your competition. But that's how it works. It's an auction system that's not just based off of how much you spend. It's based off of the time that you put into catering your ads, your keywords, and even your web page into the service that you offer, and making it as streamlined and as great an experience as possible for your customers. So it's not just a throw money at it and it'll work kind of thing. You actually have to spend some time on it. You have to maintain it, and you have to continue to grow it if it's going to continue to perform for you.
All right. And that's why I kind of cringe sometimes whenever I hear people say, well, we're just going to hire somebody and bring it in-house. And, that can work, but you're going to fumble through a lot of things and run into some situations where I know whenever I first got going and managing my own accounts, I think there was a time where the budget I put is like, well, I don't want my daily ads to ever stop running. Like I didn't want that budget to get eaten up, and I did something and I wasn't monitoring it often enough when I was still doing it by myself. And I forgot what it was, but I think it was either a $10,000 or $20,000 mistake because I had put some broad keywords in and didn't monitor active enough. And when I got the charges that I saw coming in for all my ads running, I was like nearly heart attack kind of thing because I hadn't been managing them. And it's just, you got to be careful about that sort of thing happening. But you had told me that you guys have, for Lead Propeller Fuel, for where you're managing these for the investors across the country, some open slots, right?
Yeah, we've got about 20 open spots that we're looking to fill right now. Basically, we have the manpower to be able to take on a lot more customers right now. So 20 people in markets all over the country is what we have open right now.
Okay, and if anybody listening right now is interested in looking into that, how should they get a hold of you to do that?
So just like the previous one, you can email me at josh@leadpropeller.com or tweet @leadpropeller. And just let me know that you're interested in what market it is that you're in, whether it's a city or a county or like a group of spaces together. And we can talk about coming up with a solution that's going to be specifically catered to you and what that looks like, whether it's through email or jumping on a phone call. So definitely reach out through either one of those avenues and we'll get a conversation started.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to dig into this with us, and I'm looking forward to the next episode. Do you want to just give a little teaser on what the next episode is going to be?
Yeah, mainly Game of Thrones spoilers, but we're also going to cover why Google Ads is a great choice, the benefits that it can offer brand new businesses and experienced investors both. So we're going to cover more the why it works.
Well, that's good, because I think a lot of newer investors are thinking that's kind of out of the realm of possibility for them. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to talk about it. It's actually probably going to be my favorite part of the whole, because this, the platform itself lends itself to being able to do so much for so many people, and you can custom cater a solution to each individual based off the results that they're looking for.
Nice. Yeah, I used to think, small market or small budget, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work. But yeah, so looking forward to it. Thanks a lot. I kind of want to just start asking you questions about it now, but we'll wait till the next episode for that. So sorry about everybody listening, but we wanted to keep these episodes a little bit shorter because there is a little bit more in-depth information, and people's like a lot of times, even me, my eyes just glaze over after a while, and I'm like, my mind's kind of spent on it. So we're breaking these up into more manageable sized episodes. Hope you're enjoying it, and guess we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.